welcomed the agreement held between Iran and the Group 5+1. President Rouhani affirmed that this agreement is an international recognition of the right of enriching, so that sanctions will be lifted. The Syrian army strikes the terrorists' hideouts in Aleppo. Welcome to our news bulletin. I'm Dania Nizam. Syria welcomed the agreement between Iran and the 6 states which recognized Iran's right to utilize nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. An official source in the Syrian Foreign Ministry said that Syria considered the agreement as proof that political solutions to the crises of the region remained the best way to protect security and stability, far away from foreign intervention and the threat of the use of force. The source added that this would pave the way to eliminate all the weapons of mass destruction in the Middle East, particularly after Syria's joining the agreement prohibiting the use of chemical weapons. Thus, Israel remains the only bloc hindering the achievement of this goal because it is the only party possessing nuclear weapons and refusing to put its nuclear installation under the supervision of the International Agency of Nuclear Weapons. The Syrian source congratulated the brotherly Iranian people and their wise leadership for this historic achievement that would consolidate Iran's important role in the security and stability of this region. Information Minister Amran Zabi asserted that agreement was a victory for the idea of negotiations and political dialogue against the logic of threats. The losers in this agreement are Israel and Saudi Arabia, which coordinate their support for destructive terrorism in the region. Minister of Information Dr. Amran Zabi underlined that the agreement between Iran and the 5+1 group is a victory for the approach of dialogue and the political solution over the approach of threats, wars and challenges. The minister added that when the approach of dialogue prevails, then security and stability will be maintained, not only in the region, but in the whole world. Mr. Zabi said that the Israeli attitude was not astonishing because Israel is an entity that has been established on aggression and on the approach of threats, the use of force and intervention. It's an approach which was defeated today by the dialogue which was followed by a long time by the Iranian people who were seeking to gain their right in producing nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. So, the Iranian leadership and people were able to reach this agreement after a long struggle and by being supported by the brothers and allies, including the Syrian people. The Information Minister emphasized that this agreement would surely help in establishing security and stability in the region. He pointed out that there are some states and entities which are harmed by such an agreement, and at the forefront is Israel and Saudi Arabia. He added that a few days before the signing of the agreement, Saudi Arabia and Israel made common and coordinated statements asserting their fear of such an agreement. This proves the bulk of coordination between Saudi Arabia and Israel, not only concerning Iran's nuclear file, but also concerning what's happening in Syria and Iraq. The Assistant Regional Secretary of the Ba'ath Party, Hilal visited the Iranian embassy to offer consolations for the death of the Iranian martyrs in the Iranian embassy in Beirut. He also congratulated Iran for the diplomatic victory represented by Iran's agreement with the 6 countries about Iran's nuclear file. Mr. Hilal asserted that the terrorist crime against the Iranian embassy represented the grudge of the fanatic and reactionary forces against Iran and its support of national resistance. Hilal asserted that the agreement on Iran's nuclear file consolidates the independence of the people in the region. It is a blow against the systems of reaction which support terrorism. The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov asserted that the agreement could be very useful for the preparations to hold the Geneva II conference on Syria through Iran's participation in constructive work for this conference. After 5 rounds of difficult and intensive negotiations between Iran and the 6 countries in Geneva, it was possible to overcome the blocks that hindered agreement on Iran's nuclear file. The agreement was directly welcomed and blessed by the US, while Israel felt defeated. The agreement recognized Iran's right to continue to enrich uranium and to continue the activities of Iran's nuclear institutions. The Iranian president held a press conference in which he asserted that Iran was not trying to obtain nuclear weapons. Iran's activities were peaceful. Iran is ready to continue to cooperate with other countries and with the International Agency of Nuclear Energy. This would eliminate suspicions and consolidate the security of the region and the world. The guide of the Islamic Revolution, Hassan Rouhani, asserted that the agreement would be followed by other smart steps, thanks to the role of the Iranian people. The American President Obama considered the agreement a major opportunity to consolidate international stability and to improve Iran's relations with the West. He called on the American Congress to desist from imposing new sanctions on Iran. The Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Jawad Zarif asserted that the talks would continue until all the sanctions are ended. Russia asserted that the agreement would enable Iran to exercise its right as a member of the treaty to end the proliferation of nuclear weapons. The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov expressed confidence that Iran would honestly cooperate with the International Agency of Nuclear Energy. On the ground, the Syrian Arab Army eliminated a terrorist group that was carrying ammunition for the terrorists between the villages of Taiba and Tel Dau and Homs countryside. In Idleb countryside, the Syrian Arab Army eliminated large numbers of terrorists who tried to attack the citizens and the military points south and east of the city. Among the terrorists killed there were Khalid Haj Omar, Ahmed Shbib, Abdel Qadir Kirdi, Muhammad Khalid Zaidan, Majd Shawish, and Abdel Khaliq Suleiman. In Aleppo, our valiant armed forces attacked terrorist hideouts in several areas and foiled a terrorist attempt to infiltrate into the safe areas in May Saloum. The army also clashed with terrorist gangs which attempted to attack a military position and to infiltrate into Aleppo from Khan Tuman. The army killed and wounded several non-Syrian terrorists and confiscated their weapons. A cargo of medical assistance arrived in Damascus this morning from Russia. This was part of the deeply rooted friendly relations between the two countries and their leaderships. Both countries work to preserve the concepts of sovereignty, international stability and legitimacy. Russia continued to support Syria's sovereignty and the right of its people to confront and foil terrorism and aggressive plots. The cargo weighed more than 2.5 tons of medical compounds useful to treat various diseases. Last week, another Russian plane brought medical compounds to Latakia, consisting of 44 tons of medicine. The last few months witnessed the arrival of dozens of tons of various kinds of assistance. The BBC News channel revealed that one British terrorist was recruited for jihad by extremist and fanatic terrorist organizations. He was taken into Syria through Turkey in order to commit crimes against the Syrian people. The number of Western reports about terrorists smuggled into Syria come through Turkey, which was turned by Erdogan into camps to bring mercenaries from more than 80 countries. The British TV channel said that Iftikhar Jaman was 23 years old and from Bengali origins. He admitted to the channel that he joined the so-called Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, which belongs to Al-Qaeda. He admitted that he was not the only one recruited for such criminal purposes. Other terrorists came from Australia, Finland, Italy, and from various ethnic origins from America and Britain. This shows that Erdogan is very busy supporting terrorism together with Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Erdogan is directly responsible for all the crimes on Syrian territory. That concludes our news bulletin for today. Thank you for watching us. For more news, you can visit our website on syriaonline.sy. After the break, it's Fani with our economic news. Victory is Syria's destiny.